name is Alex Fletcher, owner of Shaken Stirred Hospitality. I'm thrilled to host today's Joms at Night webinar brought to you by 24 Hour Dallas. For those who are new to us, 24 Hour Dallas is a membership-driven nonprofit whose mission is to make Dallas safer, more inclusive, and more vibrant at night. We accomplish this through Copper Star certification programs and recognize excellent nighttime businesses and annual Women's Unite in March. We accomplish this through Copper Star certification program that recognizes excellent nighttime businesses, our annual Women's Unite in March event, and other women's safety initiatives, including anti-human trafficking and regular training in clubs, pubs, and bars meeting with the city of Dallas. As a board member of 24 Hour Dallas, I invite you to find out more by visiting us at 24hourdallas.org. Through the recently launched webinar series, we aim to highlight the stories, experiences, and challenges of those powering Dallas's nighttime economy. Today, I am joined by three of Dallas's finest bartending professionals who play a crucial role in our vibrant nighttime scene. We'll make this webinar available 24 Hour Dallas's Instagram at 24 Hour Dallas, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. So we hope you will share in this discussion and your friends, and don't forget to like and follow and subscribe. Now let us begin. We've got an incredible lineup today. I got my good friend Josh Uecker. Josh is the DO. Right, okay, of Fortunate Sons and good friend Beer Garden.
Yep.
I'm sure a couple of you all have been there. They just opened Fortunate Son in Garland, and good friend has been in East Dallas for a million years. I have Aaron Surma from PM Lounge. He's lead manager, bartender. Describe your role.
Bar manager, acting general manager as right now as well. Bartender.
Guy with many hats.
Yeah, lots of hats.
Lots of hats. And then I have Kayli Randall. Kayli Randall I've known for a very long time. I was fortunate enough to meet her at UNT during a wonderful beverage survey class with Chris Furtado. She's been an awesome employee of mine. What are you doing now?
I am bartending at the moment. I have managed a lot of concepts. Let me back up. Let me set the scene. So I met Alex when I was a teaching assistant under Dr. Lita Durrett. We were doing Survey of Beverages, which is an intro sommelier, spirits, wine course. And Dr. Durrett, she's actually WSET level 3 in wine and level 1 in spirits. So I learned a lot from this woman. So I'm her teaching assistant. She's doing the nuts and bolts of everything, giving you this is the distillation process, this is the champagne method. And then I get to come up as the fun teaching assistant that's the same age as all these college people. And I'm like, all right, now we're going to drink tequila. This is how you drink tequila. This is how you drink wine. Here's a systematic approach to tasting. So I would do all the research, and I would do all the tasting lectures. And then Alex and Chris Furtado come in one day to do the cocktail lecture, and I'm like, oh, I like that. What are you doing? I want to be a bartender. What do you? I want some of that magic. So I was like, okay. We network. I get in at the Exchange. I sit down with Angela Montescleros, and the rest is kind of history. This was only 4 years ago. Took me 9 months to move up. I'd never done service industry at all. So I started drink running. 9 months later, I was through bar backing and pouring bar backing. Angela sits me down again. I remember the moment. We're sitting at table 11, okay? I remember table 11. And she's like, we're going to give you your apron. We're going to let you be a bartender now. And I was like, yes, this is going to save my life. And she was like, you have a really advanced palate for how little experience you have doing this, because I was at UNT doing all this stuff. And so she was like, we're going to start you in craft. And I said, okay. And she's like, how do you make a martini? And I tell her some spec that a friend of mine, Ed, had taught me, and it was a fat quarter of this and a short half of that and 2 of this, and she was like, no, we will not be doing that. She trains me up. 4 months behind the bar, I competed in my first competition, which was the Shake Up, Dallas-wide female bartending competition. I'm now fortunate enough to have judged and competed in that one. Moved on to whiskeys after that. I got certified in whiskey. I am an executive bourbon steward through Stave and Thief Society. It's one of the only programs recognized by the Kentucky Distillers Association. So that's pretty cool. I'm a whiskey sommelier. And now I work at Atlas and Bishop Arts. Really cool space. It's speed craft. You get a little bit of that. It's like craft bar, but dive bar mentality. It's still in Oak Cliff. It's in Bishop Arts. It's in Oak Cliff. So you get a little bit of everything. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Now I'm training up for world class. It's been dope. So thank you for giving me your business card.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
You were sitting here talking through that, and I was thinking, I was like, I spent 3.5 years bar backing.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, man.
Different times.
Yeah. Different times,
man.
Hey, if you're good at
it. I'm glad you're doing awesome, and it's been fantastic to watch you grow and blossom and everything else. Getting back to a little bit of this, bar styles. I have 3 very different people in the room that work in very different establishments. How would you describe your bar style behind the bar?
At our establishment, we're just very high volume. Still a little speed craft in there as well because we have an elevated clientele level. It's a boutique nightclub, so they expect very high value and high elevated spirits, ingredients in our cocktails as well. It's a lot of stirred cocktails, martinis. Cool. We still get to riff on variations and use our creativity behind the bar as well, but we also got to make many of them at a time in a very short amount of hours.
What would you consider your one unique thing behind the bar that kind of helps define you?
I just like to be a little fancy behind the bar.
This is true.
I get a little extra, but I don't know. As long as people seem to enjoy it, it's a different level of entertainment for people to watch. And sometimes it helps slow the crowd down a little bit when you have so many hands in front of your face waiting at one time. If you can get them to stop and be like, "Oh, that was cool," it's gonna get them to relax a little.
Kayli, how about you?
I take the liquid chef approach to it. And this is why Atlas was a little bit of a challenge for me because it's high volume, but it's still very much a craft bar. So you have to really marry the technique and the speed, and there are some things that you can form a very efficient pattern in doing, and some things you have to wiggle your way around. We're 8 deep at the bar, and you want a Sazerac? Sick. I'm still going to make it. It's got to be made this way. There are a couple things you can do to make sure it still gets out and you have an excellent serve. Yeah, and I'm really inspired by the Japanese approach to bartending. I just really love the technique and the attention to detail, so that's something I strive to bring to the table at all times. But again, if we're 8 deep at the bar, and it's vodka, crayons, and rum and cokes, it's a very different time.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy the Japanese technique as well.
Yeah.
I consider mine more of Godzilla, like walking through the city, destroying everything.
Sure.
But I still get there somehow. Uecker, for yourself.
Yeah, okay. Our concepts are more like Cheers. I might be dating myself. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Cheers anymore. But it's... Good Friend is a big neighborhood institution. It's really about the connections that you make with people, and I love, and I gained a lot of this working with Alex when I went over to Henry's with him, really learning about the product, learning about technique, and giving everything a heartbeat, a soul to it. I think people are drawn to that. So learning about the spirits, where they come, it can also make you snooty because you start learning business sides of things and stories and whatnot. So you really have to dive deep. But then you make these connections with people from the distilleries and the breweries and whatnot, and you realize how it's all just a people industry. That's what it's all about. I think now working with other people too within my own network, there's different theories about how to construct cocktails. I'm very much so with the portion sizes and the ingredients and being to spec, and I want everything consistent, where I have other people that are general managers or whatnot that may turn into more of a loose, more like employees only, where it's a free pour and it's like you just got to feel it out. It's going to come out right. So it can be like clashing of minds on that one. But at the end of the day, if you're providing something, and a lot of times it's more than just what's in that glass. There's an energy around it, and that's lights, that's sound, that's engagement, that's these connections that we make. I think those are the hard parts, and that's what I really strive for.
Agreed. Yeah. I like on all of that. I've always said that I believe that the cocktail is about 10% of the business. All right, does everyone work about 5 days a week?
Oh, we open 4.
I'm so fortunate, no.
Still
4.
Not anymore.
4, 6?
I mean, scheduled 5, but available 7.
7?
3.
3?
And I just picked up a 4th day a couple weeks ago.
Right on. Okay.
The bills are paid. This is good.
Hey, somebody give her some more shifts. All right. How do you feel 2024 has been compared to 2023, 2022? We're coming out of the pandemic. Things are, quote, unquote, starting to normalize, so whatever the heck that is right now. But how's the clientele approach? Have you felt that people are more comfortable being out, ready to engage, coming in larger groups? Are they drinking more? How's the attitude? What do you think?
For us, they're definitely coming out more and coming out in groups. It seems like some of the things that they drink, their tastes have changed, or we get a lot of people that coming from COVID, they feel like they've self-taught themselves a lot of different things. So they'll ask for things that you can tell, well, sometimes they don't really know what they're asking for. It's like kind of our job to deliver something on just a general idea that they think they know what it is. You know? It's interesting. It has changed a little bit. I'd say the dynamics have changed too, especially coming into the busy season now. We're seeing a lot more of the younger crowds coming back and coming back in a big way. Groups of 6, groups of 8, all coming in together. We have an interesting dynamic there as well, though, too. So it's, we have stages where we do have our older demographic come in, and then the younger ones come in, after that. But for us, it feels like a bounce back. Like our summer had actually been better than anticipated, I think, which is a great sign for us as being only open 16 hours a week, essentially. We had to cram a lot of our sales into that short amount of time. But it's been it seems like a positive bounce back, cool. At least for on our environment.
You agree?
We're really fortunate with our location over in East Dallas. Being in the neighborhood, being a part of the neighborhood, we're pretty consistent all the time. It's people that have been going there since day one. There's not a lot of new places that are opening up right around there. We retain that stability and that trajectory all the while. A lot of observations I've just made, a lot of them blur together after COVID, just seeing everything. I've noticed a uptick on NA as far as beer goes. There's a bigger uptick on NA beer. I think it's a little bit more, I don't want to say acceptable. It's always been acceptable not to drink, but I think people are more open with going out and partaking in it and just enjoying the experience going out. I think the weird thing, and this happened after going up to New York and Connecticut before we opened up our new concept, was noticing how places shut down early up in New York too. Which the first time I went to New York was with you, and I was like, this is the city that never sleeps. But this is right after I had gone to New Orleans for the first time. I was like, wait a minute, no, New Orleans doesn't sleep. Yeah. But now even things up there mellowed out a little bit. I think that was weird. I was also sober for 3 years, so when I started slowly drinking again, I was like, I need to go back out in the scene and explore all these entertainment districts that I hadn't been a part of for a little while. And it was really weird how a lot of places were shutting down at midnight again, and I was like, wow, that's wild. But yeah, we're insulated where we're at, so we're really lucky and fortunate, and we have a really great area that we work in, so it's been really steady all the way through.
Cool.
Yeah, I started bartending post-pandemic. So I heard so many things about, it's different than what it used to be.
You came into it in a weird world.
Oh, yeah. And everyone told me that, and I was like, okay.
That's cool. I guess I never pieced that together. Yeah.
So I was coming in, we were still wearing masks. There was still mask mandate for a really long time. And when they were finally coming off, I was already starting to move. I was in the bar before masks came off. So that's about when I came into the scene. I will say the zero proof movement that you're talking about, I saw that tick up in New York, and it's been popularized. And I think that's honestly a really great thing because realistically, what are bars? They're community gathering spaces. They're watering holes. They're places where people form connections. They come to say hi to their bartenders. It's your neighborhood spot, right? But if we're not being inclusive to people that don't drink, want a low ABV serve, they get left out of that equation a lot of the time. And so in this post-pandemic world, people have found a love for baking sourdough, realized drinking probably is going to kill them at some point. They're finding that there is a niche for them even in a bar, even in this space where you wouldn't regularly think, how many non-alcoholic spirits do we have coming on the market these days? It's just a sign of the times. I think we're coming back into that community and that sense of belonging. The groups are coming in, everybody's coming out, but they're doing it in a slightly different way, in the sense of maybe we're not going to stay out till 4 a.m. Maybe we're going to go home because everything hurts now. I don't know. We're going to hydrate. We're going to have immaculate water service. So, I don't know. I think it's
immaculate water service. I like that. I think that's a menu placement. Okay. That kind of segues into something that I want to talk about. The whole purpose of 24-Hour Dallas is to help the nighttime economy just with safety and any way to make things better for the nighttime economy. There was just a survey done, and the size of our collective economy is one of the largest in Dallas. I think it's number 2.
Yes.
I know you're not in the podcast, but you're right. So if you took like any of the economies that are going through, that it's number 2. That's huge. With that comes a whole bunch of things that some people are concerned with. Some people don't feel safe going out. Some people that have worked in bars have had experiences that have, been scary. Do you have any that are possibly something you would want to bring up just to mention? It doesn't have to be too in-depth, just an example.
I had a coworker get into her car. We always walk each other to our cars at night. The bar backs or our bar managers will have a security guard walk us to our cars. She gets in her car, and there is a man in her car waiting there for her.
What?
Broke into her car, just sitting there waiting to see who's going to get in this car. And she gets out of the car. Obviously, she's like screaming, and she runs back to the place. This happens so much more often than not. I'll have friends walk me to my other friend's bar. We're going to carpool home. There's so many people out and about just following you. And it's something you have to be cognizant of at all times. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, any story that I have is from way back in the day. And I don't know how relevant it is now. And it's just those kind of bar fights where we worked, and you see those scuffles and whatnot. And then, of course, you read about these type of incidents happening. I usually read them on social media or whatnot, or you hear through the grapevine in your little entertainment district, something happening. So I don't have anything really too specific here recently. Like I said, we're pretty insulated where we're at. Definitely the driving force is community. We try to walk it, whether it's guests or whatnot. We don't have the high volume, I'm sure y'all do. So it affords us that luxury of being able to be like on it with everybody that might be more prone to a situation happening. And our parking lot's small. I can see where everybody is at any given point. No, we're PV and Garland.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
EM Lounge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you would think that, obviously there's a lot more for us to look out for. Luckily, I don't have any specific incidences that have been a problem. We have a lot of security on site. We make sure all of our employees, everybody walk to their cars. Kayli said as well. But one thing we always still have to watch out for a lot is drink drugging. Like, people getting slipped anything it's always a very hard thing to watch and pay attention for. But if we ever have a concern of a young lady come up to the bar and says, I think somebody might have slipped something to drink, we always got to watch for that, take care of that, dump whatever, make sure she's taken care of, keep it on the cameras, whatever we got to do. But luckily, like our staff, we does a very good job of being vigilant. It hasn't been an issue, but it's just things like that we really do need to look out for.
Okay. Do y'all have any ideas what the city of Dallas or just the legislation or anything that we can push for, or safety or anything that could actually help with this process? Because the biggest reason for this is we want to keep everybody safe so our economy just booms. That's the thing. We have more travel, we have more people coming into town, we have more places opening, and it just comes this bubble that's built up, and trying to keep everybody safe is difficult, and it really starts with the city level too. It's just them helping them understand our problems, because they're not behind the bar. They're not having to carry out the drunk girl out of the bathroom stall and then get her a medic. Yeah, that's just not part of their job. If you have any ideas that would help, I'd love to hear them. They can be as simple as just a simple call-in, a hotline number, or anything.
That's really hard because now you're trying to get a bigger picture to help control what's happening inside. What you're saying about just being vigilant and paying attention, and regardless of if it happened or not, dumping that drink, getting a new drink, and then keeping eyes open. That's what we can do as far as the city level. Man, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've been seeing different entertainment districts and trying to come up with ways on how to fix it, and looking at places like Sundance Square and the private security that they have to help reinforce law enforcement out there, take that pain, that pressure, and staffing issues into hand. That could be one thing to do. Just more presence, but when you ask for more presence, you have to be cautious, because more presence is back in the paddy wagon days of Deep Elm and stuff. And you don't necessarily want that. You don't want to scare people away either. And I don't know. There's just no real good answer to
it's a complex issue.
It really is.
It's a multifaceted issue, and it's one of those things where it's okay. We can all be advocates. I think it takes all of us, realistically, inviting in law enforcement and stuff like that. That gets really dicey. We're already dealing with TABC, making sure we have all that straight too. I think it just comes down to us, not just the people putting on these parties at these bars, but everybody that comes in. We have to constantly be in that mindset of looking out for one another. And that can be something as simple as, oh, you like this tables that you all got up for 2 minutes, I don't see you, where'd you go, and your drinks are just sitting there, I'm pulling them. Because you could get really hurt. And I've had people complain about that, but I'm like, babe, why did you leave your drink over here? At least put a napkin on top of it. Don't, and even then, somebody could potentially drug you, which is terrible. But what else do we do but look out for each other in this kind of situation?
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. There's not much we can do as long as just them having that watchful eye once they leave our property, because then they're becoming part of the public and they could get hurt in different ways. If they're walking away by themselves and somebody just leaving intoxicated on their own, walking down the street in Deep Ellum, it's asking for trouble at that point. But like you said, how do we approach that, or how does the city approach that in this situation where it becomes helpful and not really a punishable enforcer?
There's been some really cool stuff that's happened just recently. We just installed a whole bunch of Narcan vending machines in Deep Ellum and stuff like that. I thought I had a great idea, which was already taken, which is doing something like smart straws that change color within and introduced to anything besides alcohol or whatever. So there are options that we can use. The biggest problem that I've seen with some of the elements is they're too expensive. And I don't want to say you can't put a price on someone's safety, but you can also have to weigh in your judgment of your business as well. If it's just going to tank you to buy these straws, and why should we? I'm going to sound preachy, don't worry. Why would we make something to keep something safe so expensive? Shouldn't it be cheaper?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll make some, and we'll make them really cheap, and I'll just go broke. Okay, let's get back to bartending talk anyways. Aaron, if you had one piece of advice for someone trying to break into the bartending scene in Dallas, Texas, what would you tell them?
I would say find somewhere to work where you can find the proper mentorship. I started bartending up in Michigan at just a neighborhood bar, and I didn't really realize like how big and culturally different the whole scene can be, the whole community is, until I moved down here to Dallas. And if I had to do it differently, I would have wish I had the knowledge to see culturally where maybe I would have fit in at, whether it be a local neighborhood bar or a craft scene or a nightclub, and which way I wanted to break in, because I've done all the above and saw what I like and what I don't like at different venues and different spaces. I would just recommend just trying to find what you like or what you really have a desire to do or a passion for in whatever space that this industry can provide you. And just find a proper mentorship. You work your way up, whether it's 4 months behind as the bar back or 3.5 years, whatever it takes. You learn a lot that way. I learned so much from Alex, just working under him, and that's the best way to learn, is just do it and follow the people that you respect.
Honestly, if you're trying to break in, don't be afraid to do the job that you don't want, because so many people want to be a bartender, but they don't want to be a bar back, and they don't want to be a server. They don't want to be a drink runner, but to be a bartender, you have to be all of those things. And realistically, when you're in one of those roles, be the best that you possibly can at that one role. Be so good that they can't ignore you, and you will eventually move up, because that's just how the world works. If you're in a program that you don't quite have a ceiling, you can keep pushing yourself and keep excelling and keep learning. Outwork everyone. Don't be an asshole. Outwork everyone, and it'll come. That and study. You have to study. There is a lot to learn. There are a lot of recipes. There's a lot of technique, depending on what niche you go in, whether it's clubs or even if it is clubs. If you're slinging one-on-ones, that's fine. But there's still an art to that. There's an art to all of this. So learn the art, study the craft, and work so hard.
Y'all just kind of summed everything that I was going to say. Now I got nothing. I'm out. See ya. My dad used to tell me, hey, man, can I cuss on this too? Okay. Yeah, my dad, it's not necessarily about what you do in your life, professionally or whatnot, but it's how you do it. So you can be you can clean shitters for a living. Just be the best shitter cleaner you can be, right? And it's integrity. And that's what you guys are saying. I love hearing this because at times I get nervous with younger generations getting in the scene. But yeah, like barback for a while, you're going to need it. I'm telling you, like the best bartenders were barbacks because they were in charge of everything. And then that just leads into bar management and being a general manager. Like your attention to detail and focus and being on top of pars and these things. These are all relevant in order to keep on going up that ladder in this industry if you so choose, and realizing too that limitations are also strong suits, and understanding like maybe this is just a means to an end. I'm in this industry in order to get me to the next step of my life professionally. That's okay, understanding that. And for the vast majority of people in this industry, they lose sight of that and then they're stuck, and then getting jaded falls into place, and then that's when service standards fall apart, and then that reflects poorly on everyone around you that cares. So just know if that's what it is, that's fine, but have the integrity to be the best that you can be while you're there, and then go on to your next step. And for the people that are going to make this a long-term thing, no, that's a process, just like anything else. And it is, there's so many elements to it. And with so many elements, don't necessarily stick with one place. I'm real lucky. I got to start in a time period where the craft scene hadn't hit Dallas yet. Heck, even at our bar, we didn't have fancy beers on draft either. I think when we finally put, I don't know, Sierra Nevada or something, it was like, whoa, that's crazy. The name of the game was like build relationships with people and be a host and start the party. So that created this energy. And then I was lucky enough to work with this guy, and I learned about cocktails and how the 10% rule, that it's more than that. And I think one of the most valuable things you taught me while I worked there with you was rum training, rum and vodka training, because I was like, two categories I was not going to mess with, man. I've had Bacardi before, man. I get it. And he's no, we're gonna sample all these and we're going to talk about them, because it's important to build trust with your guest when you can speak in layman's terms. We used to joke around with reps all the time because you could tell if they're talking about specs. And we would compare it to it tasting like Plaid or Wednesday or something, just to see what kind of reaction they were. But like understanding what things taste like, because it also serves not only building trust, but you know what it tastes like. And eventually in the cocktail game, you're going to build these, your palates. You're going to understand just by looking at something how it's going to work together in a glass. That's why people like Lucky Campbell did so well being sober. He knew exactly how it was going to come in that glass. He knew how it was going to taste. It was amazing to do this. So yeah, studying and tasting everything, being gluttons in this industry, taste everything. If you're out, you taste it. You define that palate.
Just taste.
Just taste. Yeah, I'm not saying go out and necessarily rage or anything.
You don't have to consume all of it.
But yeah, know what everything tastes like. Know what you're talking about and how to sell it to people.
Okay.
But yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have one for safety and stuff. I was thinking about while we were talking through this, and a lot of y'all brought up a lot of good points about. I've been in a position to where I've employed a ton of people, and with that, I've seen a whole bunch of different mental health statuses, and I've also known a lot of people that have passed away and stuff like that. And I think that it's been great to see the kind of check in with people, but I think part of our jobs as mentors and people trying to break into the industry and everything is like knowing that mental health check-in is always available. There's plenty of times that I look back and I wish I would actually stopped and talked to somebody and then found out they were really going through something I had no idea about. Having that resource available there are some resources available, and I'll get you more details on those because I need to study up on them myself. But for the younger kids that are coming in, like this industry is hard, man. Like it's tough. I don't want to say it's gotten easier, and I don't want to say it's gotten safer, but I feel like it's definitely trending in that direction. There had been plenty of nights that I remember coming home and like I was leaving the bar at 4 or 5, 6 in the morning or something like that, and it's a weird world at that time. And there's plenty of times that I probably shouldn't have made it home, and I did. Thankfully for my friends or from Uber or cabs back then. God, do you remember calling cabs?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, yellow cab?
I still do.
I think it's still on my phone.
Like, what are you doing?
You don't work for a cab company. What are you doing here?
Who is this guy?
All right. Looking in the future, is there anything that we could strive towards besides we have not talked about already, because we went on a roundabout conversation, got off rails, but...
Like on the point of mental health?
Point of just safety in general.
Point of safety in general.
Like a common goal. And I think we touched on most of it, but it's on
honestly,
the sheet. So
check in with your people. Check in with your people.
Yeah.
And I know that's so basic, but we hang out with each other all the time. We're around each other all the time. We're in the trenches going to war behind these frickin' bars all the time, okay? But let's not just talk about bartending. Let's talk about, how's your mom? How are you doing? Is your sister got married? Like, how is she? How are you? Like, how are you really? This issue actually kind of hits home for me because working at Atlas, I started there, and it was only a couple of weeks before Ben Glasgow unfortunately ended his life. And I remember he was just, it was so sudden and it didn't make sense for any of us. Like, it happened. I spoke to him 2 days before. I was asking him about spec for something or like an infusion, and everybody was setting up. He had like pop-ups set up. So my 2 coworkers, Kate and City, they took his journal and they brought his pop-ups to life that never got to see it. And it was just one of those like, wow, just sobering. It brought all of us together over in Bishop, but community-wide as well, because he was right there, and then he was just gone. But nobody knew that he was struggling with what he was struggling with, because he was just the happiest person in the room at all times, and he had the craziest jokes, and he was just so full of light and life. And then just like that. But it can happen like that. So just check in with your people. Mm-hmm. And if you are struggling with mental health issues, because everybody has, not to dumb it down, everybody's got issues, but seriously, reach out to someone. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to be like, hey, I'm having a terrible day. Can we do something about it? But you are not alone. There are people in this world that care about you. That is me on my soapbox. You are loved. You are loved, and you are valued.
Who wants to top that?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, and wait, if anybody out there is listening, at your earliest convenience, if you like to imbibe, please raise a glass of Fernet Brancamenta, because that is what Ben loved.
I think it's good for us to talk about this a little bit, especially just because a lot of consumers don't ever see this part of the bar community. It's almost in a reverse training. Like, I know in a lot of the trainings that I've done coming out through the years, like the things I try to tell younger bartenders, especially in the TABC regulations course, is like, every person you serve has a family or somebody that cares for them. Yeah. Or a child or a pet. Your responsibility as a bartender handing that drink to somebody is you giving your sign off that they're okay to have that beverage. It puts a lot of weight on your shoulders when you break it down that way. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of times that I've been completely overserved. I don't know why anybody would serve me. And I found out later in life, those people weren't my friends. And that was the situation that I was just in. And I know it's happened to all of us. Man, who gave me that last drink? I would say from the consumer value of them being able to listen to this podcast, it's important for them to understand that we all struggle with all this stuff too. I'm glad that we're being able to talk about it. On to a happier subject.
Heavy in this room.
You dim, make it purple, a little more blue. Like, what color are we going for? This will be a good cut period, so I can figure out what I want to say yet. There we go. Okay, that was looking for it. All right, so 24 Hour Dallas frequently discusses nighttime safety. They use the words inclusivity, vibrancy, and safety. Do you feel that all those encompass nighttime safety? Those words specifically, are they a good motto for 24 Hour Dallas?
I think it's a good start, especially the vibrancy is just about having your well-lit areas, make sure things are safe and protective. Like I said, not only on our property, but as soon as people are stepping off and leaving. And safety, it is a very broad term, but it's like we got to start somewhere, and we got to start, and then dialing it in from there. It's like safety inside our venues, like we've discussed, from the walk to our front door to their car door or Uber or whatever it may be, is a whole nother point of safety and just getting them home. Safety, it's a very broad generic term, but maybe that's something that we can dial in a little bit more, but I think it still covers the basis of what the motto and what the organization is representing as a whole.
How do y'all feel about the higher district areas? Take Deep Ellum, for example, like having a safety patrol that walks people to their cars and group escorts and things like that. Have you ever used those? I know we had them in Deep Ellum during the Harlow days a little bit.
A little bit.
I think they've gotten better.
Yeah.
Have y'all experienced any of that?
I haven't seen that. I like the idea. I feel like they've been so I live really close to Deep Ellum. I'm in the farmers market. I noticed that they'll close off certain streets, so it's not as like you can't drive through the district late at night, which really helps because there's so much foot traffic. So at least there's that part, a little bit less movement. I do see the police out there a lot, and they are like managing the crowds. I don't know really to what extent because I honestly try to stay out of Deep Ellum, but yeah.
That's an important point. I grew up in Deep Ellum. I spent a ton of time in Deep Ellum. I love Deep Ellum, and I still love Deep Ellum. I always love Deep Ellum.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch how the neighborhood changes, and every 10 years or so, it seems like it goes through a kind of a spell and needs a little love and
Sage it.
yeah, a little sage, a little rock salt,
Sage,
a little,
my God.
pour some Diet Coke on it. I don't know. Plug it back in. I mean, Deep Ellum's one of our cherished communities. It's nationally, it's extremely famous, and it's got great music, and it's one of the few things that's keeping music alive in Texas. So I'm happy it's there for sure. I just want to see it flourish. Okay. What do you think? Good.
Let's just close it out.
Close out. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that was fun. All right. You gotta tell a story first.
Oh, okay.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah, it's funny because we both started bar backing together at the same place on Uptown. It was hilarious.
Ooh, can I tag team with us, dude?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. It's so funny because I remember back in the days we were just so young and whatever. I remember you always trying to do the Tanqueray bottle, the flip, the little flare. And I remember just those bottles breaking all the time. And so it's so fun to see over 20 years ago where we started and to where you're at right now. Like cocktail dude, like Savant, when it comes, I love playing the game with him. Guess what's in the drink? And just hand him something. And he's like, oh, it's this and this. And it's not even fun. It's like my dad, my brothers know how to count cards. So growing up, it was never fun playing with them because they told me what was in my hand all the time. That's this guy with the drinks.
Yeah. So our first shift, I'll tell that story.
Okay.
Me and Josh Uecker lived in Denton, Texas, and Josh had somehow scored a bar backing job at the Quarter Bar in Dallas, which was so cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seth Byers probably got you
Yep.
in for the first gig.
Sure did.
That was the bartender there. And then one night, I had lost my job for some reason. I don't know. It was probably, I was serving at Abuelo's.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
First off, no restaurant should look like Twilight 24 hours a day. It's just, so I need money. Obviously, we pay and stuff. So he's like, hey, I think I got you a bar back job. And I was like, or at least one shift. I went, and I'm going cool guy. I got my cool hair, put on some cool duds. Actually, a shirt very similar to that. Actually, I'm almost in the same outfit.
Yeah.
What the heck just happened?
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty much. Yeah.
Anyways.
Hasn't changed much.
I'd never bar back before. So I got there, and oh my God. It was hand washing, it was cutting limes, it was getting stabbed, it was getting thrown on the floor. It was just everything. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Did
so
they throw
much
things
fun.
at you? You told me they used to throw things
Oh,
at you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
just checking.
And
Yep.
I don't know what it was, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was this chaotic mess
Yep.
of just gorgeousness.
Mm-hmm.
So they're having a bar clean the next day.
Yeah.
I didn't work there. So I showed up, and we cleaned the bar for about 10 hours.
Yeah.
It needed it.
Yep.
I'd never cleaned a bar before, and oh my God, bars are gross.
Yep.
And then by the end of the 10-hour shift, the GM at the time was like, hey, I guess I have to give you a job.
Yeah.
That was our good friend Stacy Taylor, who became one of our closest friends for a very long time. She still is, so she's a wonderful human being. All right. You been doing any other crazy stories? We're good.
I think we're good. Let's
You
just
good?
save our reputation now.
Lost that a long time ago. Thank you all for an insightful discussion. It's been a pleasure and an honor having you on today's webinar. To our listeners and viewers, we encourage you to support these talented bartenders by visiting their establishments, neighborhoods, and following them on social media. What's your social media tags?
Go up on fortunatesontx.com and good friend.
Jae and Juice on
Oh, yeah.
Instagram. JAE_and_juice, like gin and juice.
Mine's A-Ron-S, but A.Ron.S.
Don't worry, we'll put
Aaron.
these somewhere in the link or something.
Someone put a super.
Alex is going to find out what mine is and just tell everybody later because I don't know. I'm old.
If you'd like to follow me, my name is Alex Fletcher, but it's ALECKS_Fletcher. That was my wittiness of my lifetime.
So exotic.
I know. All right, before we sign off, 24 Hour Dallas is hosting a membership happy hour on October 7th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Manic in Deep Ellum with complimentary appetizers sponsored by Cruise. And this year's Unite the Night fundraiser is taking place Thursday, November 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. We're calling it the Bar Hop for a Cause. Also, it's 30 Bellum, visiting 5 of our Copper Star certificate businesses. You can register for both events on our website, 24hourdallas.org. We also invite you to join 24 Hour Dallas online. Our annual dues are just a measly $25 a year for individuals, or $100 a year for business owners and operators, and follow 24 Hour Dallas at 24 Hour Dallas on Instagram to stay up to date on all the latest offerings and happenings. Thanks again to our viewers for tuning in. Stay safe, and remember, the night is for everyone.